This podcast is sponsored by Nutricon. You can use the code 2022BODY and save 20% off.
Have you ever met Miss Lindy? She's a gal with the bright red hair.
What's happening, guys? Welcome to a new episode of Just the Radio. Luckily, when you're in person, you can see the differences. I think people can actually see the differences online when they get to know you, obviously. So, Monique and Alicia, thank you so much for coming through.
Thanks for having us, JC.
So, for those people that might not know you as well, who's who in the zoo?
I'm Monique. In Jiu Jitsu community, I'm known as Mouse. Monique, I'm married. So it's Monique van Staden now. So that's a differentiator. That's Alicia Krieger.
So I'm Alicia. I am a yoga teacher, big supporter of Monique van Staden. And that's basically how people generally tell us apart and the things that we take interest in, even though we both show interest in each other's interests, so to speak. From a looks perspective, when you just meet us, people are always like, "Oh my God, you guys look so alike. I will never be able to tell the difference." And within a couple of hours, they quickly realize that we are actually, in fact, very different.
Yeah.
In the way we look and the way we are, we might sound a bit the same, have the same core belief systems, and have the same, way of speaking and dealing, but we are very much individuals and have found that way over the years.
Yeah. And I think since young, we've tried to, it's strange to me. Some twins try and be very alike, dress alike, do everything together, be exactly the same. And I think since young, we've never really been like that. We've always tried to keep our individuality. I mean, since the moment I could afford my own clothing, we tried not to dress the same. But some way, as you know,
we still rock up looking exactly the same.
Yeah, today you guys are literally identical.
And that genuinely, I didn't know. Or she arrived at my house and I was like, "What are you wearing?" When I was already in the car outside, I was like, "We're leaving. Otherwise, we're going to be late."
It makes sense. When you were young, did your parents ever dress you the same?
Yeah, all the time. My mom dressed us the same all the time. And I think even though we strive for that individuality, there is nothing you can do to the fact that you are one in so many ways. So you can try dress differently and you can try have different interests. We always filter naturally into each other's lives and into each other's interests and dress the same and feel the same and know what the other person is feeling. So it's all good and well to try, be on those individual parts, but naturally they intertwine.
Yeah, and I mean, we spend a lot of time together.
And she phones me a lot.
You phone me a lot. So my husband said to me about 2-3 months ago, he's like, "Your phone bill's really high." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I know that." And he pulled the reports on my phone bill. He was like, "It's like something's not going well here. What's happening?" Like, is it work? I had 146 outgoing calls to my sister in one month.
Yeah, but those are missed calls as well. We don't actually speak with every phone call.
That's also not her phoning me, so you can double that. So we speak 300 times a month over the phone.
When you guys were young, sorry to cut you off. When you guys were young, did you, slowly start to look different the older you got? Or was there a stage where people, couldn't tell you apart?
For sure. I think as we got older, you get the piercings and your own style and tattoos and small things that really show a difference. So I remember getting our first little tattoos together. It's like these little our initials on our wrists and they were identical. And then Monique got this tiny little thing on her shoulder. And I said, "Well, you getting that, that means we're not twins anymore, And then I slowly got my own, but somehow it's still, people don't notice them. So I think over time, just getting your own style and, again, your interests and the things you do, the way you are, you meet different friends, and somehow all our friends are each other's friends and so on.
Yeah, we don't really have friends.
You're my friend, you're her friend.
Yeah, basically. We literally, if she
deal.
If she meets new people, I just end up being friends with them. It just is that way. You can't Can't get away from each
Well,
other.
it is an interesting
I
thing.
don't want to get away from you. I love you.
It is an interesting thing with like nature versus nurture, because obviously your nature is identical. Your
Yeah.
nurture was, I assume, also pretty identical
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why I think, you know, you like the same people, you enjoy the same things, you
Yeah.
decide to dress the same without choreographing it. So obviously, you know, your nature and your nurture was very almost identical.
For sure.
So then you kind of became the same people. But obviously, you know, you sometimes may have in school had different friends. You might have had different friends in school.
Yeah.
To a point which exposed you guys to different things. Then obviously you developed into slightly, well, not slightly, but different people.
Yeah, so I mean, the interest, I think, is what in school she was more of the. She's a lady, like she's a real lady. She you know, the hair's perfect in school, like everything's clean and neat.
Just because I didn't
and
sleep
plays
all the way to
netball.
school.
And like I was more like I'm yeah.
No, I
you know?
woke up at the gate to be like, hey, like we gotta get in now.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm more of that. Like I played hockey in school. I didn't like strive in classes. I crawled in a room to steal books to get my stuff done. But I'm the one that works.
Maybe
in
you should just
corporate.
state that was you stealing it from me, not from someone else.
So is that, do you think you maybe saw she was doing certain things and you maybe wanted to be like, well, I don't exactly want to be like that. Let me try to do something different.
It could be.
Maybe like unconsciously.
I think so. Like it could be. I don't really know. I've never actually thought of that. Like I said, like now I work in corporate. Like I've got a full-time job in a quite a corporate environment with a stressful corporate environment, and I'm the one that's quite like OCD and
Yeah, so we flipped.
we flipped a bit.
She was what's the word, like
Take
free
life as
wild
it
child,
comes.
Wild
Yeah.
child.
when you were younger, and then
Barefoot,
I was
hippie.
everything's together all the time, and as we got older into our 20s, it flipped. I'm the now all over the show, free-spirited, wild, crazy, and she's like planning everything and making sure everything's perfect. I mean, if it wasn't for her, I mean, I don't know how we'd get certain things done. Not that I don't have my things together, but yeah, she's a good planner, has everything.
I think it's
So she came to your house to fetch you, or to?
No, I was waiting.
So you were waiting. So you were ready.
I was waiting. I was
Okay.
ready. I was like, because it was closer to me. But she came from a corporate meeting, and I came from a yoga class. So
yeah. So I mean, we're alike, but quite different. And
What do you think brought about that shift? Was it just life? You
life,
kind of just
it's-
changed.
So yeah, I think you're really a product of your environment. Like you really are what you surround yourself with, and we've.
then why am I not good at jiu-jitsu? Because I'm with you all
watch
the
it,
time.
You know, if you move. So, yeah, you're a product of your environment, I guess. So, like, we something that's everybody knows is like we've always been in relationships, or in long-term relationships. I don't think I've ever been single. Like, I think
I
you
have. for a
Yeah,
really
you've
long
been
time.
single, but I mean, like, I've been with my husband for 9 years. Like, I think the environment with him is where I also got the OCD. He's quite an OCD individual, very like committed, extremist when he does something, and I think that's when like I picked that up from him. So it's environment, you know. As we got older, you spend time with different people and you change in a way. So I think that's what brought it about.
My people are her people, and her people are my people, and that's what we are lucky enough to have double the friends and double the support system and double the community, which is for me a great bonus. So
Was there ever a time growing up where maybe you kind of traded places, you know, like a classic movie situation where the one goes and does, like you're dating a boy and then you want to break up with him, but the other one's got the heart to do
didn't
it?
do that. I'm so bummed. There's so many things I would have done if I wasn't so like wussy about it. Like, I was like,
yeah, people always ask us like, did you ever swap? But did you ever do like that typical movie thing? And we didn't. I mean, we still could in certain aspects, but yeah, no.
Like you can use each other's virgin active card.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that is so lame.
Well, I mean, I've done that with any other brown-haired white male, and it works.
Give it. That's me. I'm a truthful individual.
That's so funny.
So yeah, we haven't really done that, but I'm sad about it, and if I have a time machine, I would.
I think you probably still could in certain
No, we
things.
could, and
Because
yeah.
people
somewhere.
might, like if it's an environment where people don't pay attention to you exactly,
yeah.
then you could obviously get away with it. So what got you into jiu-jitsu?
So I've been with my husband for 9 years. He's an MMA athlete. So he's been fighting for, I think, like 11 years. It's what he does for a living. And I mean, in like year 4 of dating, I've been around the sport for that long. And I mean, I don't regret it, but I do at the same time. The only regret I have is never starting earlier. Like, I wish I started when I met him and was exposed to the sport. So we were surrounded by it because of our partners at that time, back in like 2012, 2013. And I never wanted to, like, we lived quite far out in the east back then. And I never really wanted to, get engaged in it or get involved in it. I just wanted to do my thing, you know. So for 4 years, that's what I did. I've always trained. So I did kettlebell classes, I did indoor volleyball, hockey. I've always been a sporting human. Like, I love sports. But my husband said to me, well, boyfriend back then said to me, I would like for you to take part in it just for some self-defense. And there's a new ladies class starting at the gym. And he's been with Rich for 10 years. I was like, oh, like, and it's 6 o'clock in the morning as well. Are you joking? So I decided to go one day. So like, just, you know, it was a small class. It was like 5 girls, brand new girls, new thing for the community, because it's a male dominant sport. So I was like, I'm going to go support and try this out. And the first day I tried it, I was like, wow.
Was that an MMA class or jiu-jitsu class?
Jiu-jitsu class. It was also a female-only class, which is, it's different. Like, there's, you know, it's. So I went, I tried, and they said, okay, you can roll a bit. You're like, okay, what is that? So you're like rolling on the floor with people you don't know. And I tried it, and somehow I just loved it. And I felt like what I did, like, sort of like, I ended up in a good position. It was a cool experience.
It was almost natural for you as well.
It felt natural, yeah. So I loved it, and then I just continued. I never stopped. So as you know, there's different levels of jiu-jitsu. Like, there's different belt levels and so forth. So when you start, you just like it's a bit rough, and it's a very hectic environment for women. In the beginning, like, I feel it's an environment for women where you go in there and girls are like, no, like, it's too aggressive, and my hair and my nails and the sweat. And I was like, okay, I'm going to put all of that aside and just give this a shot, you know. And I never looked back. I absolutely loved it from the beginning. Then about like 2 years into it, I think I decided, well, I feel like I'm like getting better at this as I go. So why don't I like give a go at competition? And I decided to start competing, and like comps went quite well, and it went well again and again. I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to take it on as like a sport that I want to compete in and achieve like big goals in, because it's not only that physically, like, it's really good for my physical health, but my mental health and my emotional stability that I gained from jiu-jitsu as a woman was far beyond anything I've ever experienced. Like,
was it the confidence, or what do you think it was?
It's not only the confidence. It's really so for me, jiu-jitsu is there's 2 sides to jiu-jitsu. You can do it as a sport, as a hobby. I think for women it should be a sport and a hobby, because it's twofold. The best self-defense mechanism for women there is in the entire world. There's nothing like it. You can't tell me that a man will beat you, or you can't tell me that a woman will beat a man in a fist fight. It's never going to happen. But the opportunities are there in grappling all the time. So for me, that's one of the reasons I started doing it. But it's a sport where you can really find a flow, like where you can overcome stuff. Like, I've learned in jiu-jitsu how to deal with things in my corporate world through my jiu-jitsu, through patience, how to handle myself in difficult situations. And this is not physical situations, it's mental situations. If you are on the mat grappling with another man or a woman who's trying to do things to you that's not pleasant, you need to be fully aware and present. And if you're not, you're gonna have a bad day. So I've just learned so many lessons from the sport, and I'm a big advocate for women for it. So, yeah, it's amazing.
You've obviously partake as well.
I don't.
Not as much.
No, I used to in the beginning when Apex just opened. I was on the mats a little bit with my sister and everyone, and I never really got into it, but strangely, I'm so into it. I watch a whole lot of jiu-jitsu because of my family and everyone around me. I go to all the competitions and I'm like fangirl, okay? And I kind of know exactly what they're doing, submissions and all of that. But just to touch on what she's saying, observing her over the last couple of years, and what I've taken from it is the discipline that it instills, and watching them, like, it's not a problem to get up at 5:30 in the morning to be at a 6 a.m. class, and that like motivates me to do the same in what I'm interested in, whether it's yoga or my training or whatever else. And it's like she says, like the mental and physical discipline that she's instilled through the practice or through the jiu-jitsu is something that I've been able to take from. So I don't necessarily do it daily on the mat.
But I see you do a lot of boxing.
I do boxing. That's what her and I do together once a week.
We box together and we love it.
Also, she'll come from a 2-hour or 1 hour jiu-jitsu session and be like, Monique, Alicia, I'm so tired. I've done 2 hours of jiu-jitsu already today, but I'm coming, and then she'll come.
Listen,
she'll do a half an hour
it's
boxing
a healthy
with
drug.
me.
It's a healthy drug.
It is, but I say to her, I'm like, this is the thing that you said we're going to be doing together. So you better rock up at jiu-jitsu or I'm telling Luke. At boxing or I'm telling Luke, So then she comes and she does a half an hour of boxing. Like, I love the boxing. It's been really good for me, and it's been amazing to add into the various forms of training that I do. And it's also just nice to have some form of skill. Not that I think I'm ever going to be able to use it in a serious situation, but it's just nice to learn a skill. And in the beginning, you're like a fish out of water and you don't know what's going on. But the people are so attentive and they teach you and they genuinely care. So, and then 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line, you're just like trying to recruit people to be like, you have to come and try this. It's so cool. And so I'm more on the boxing side. The other day I went to, because I go watch all their like open mats, and sometimes I watch some of the classes and stuff. I said to Monique, I'm taking my rings off and I'm rolling with you today. Well, she cross-faced me so hard, I was like, I'm not coming back. But it's only because it was me, she's very gentle with beginners.
Yeah, beginners. Yeah, I think like Alicia said, like, it's a discipline. It's a sport. It's a sport, but it's a discipline. It's something that you can add into your life. So like, I never get, and there's millions of people who like think like this. It's like you'll pay 1,000 rand for dinner at a restaurant with a few glasses of wine. But people won't pay 1,000 rand to learn a technique that will save their life. Like literally, jiu-jitsu it can save your life in a way of, I get into a physical confrontation with you, but because I do the sport, I understand what you are capable of as a man. Not that you've done it before, but understand the strength of a man, understand how you know how to move your body. And I can make intelligent decisions because of that. So it's just also how your physical awareness increases even.
Body awareness.
Your body awareness, like that's not from a discipline perspective. Like Alicia said, like for me in the sport, like you learn time management, you learn how to work with people, and then your coaches, like my coach Rich, like it's easy for, I don't want to badmouth other sports. It's not what I mean, like, but I'm really an advocate for jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. But like you can go play soccer, for example, and there's a ref that blows the whistle to run up and down the field, whatever they do. Yeah. But like when someone puts like everything into teaching you a physical contact sport every day and studies all night, and comes back and brings knowledge to you and can physically teach you that every, like, day in and day out, like, that's like priceless. Like, how do you like put a price to that type of stuff, you know? And then you can't help not to be on time, attentive, like, do well.
But also the
be
nature
impeccable.
of combat
Like,
sports is if you're not attentive while
you
you're
fall back
engaging
and,
with someone
like,
else,
you-
I mean, you're going to be either, you know, you're going to be tapping out instantly. If you're focusing on something else, you need to be present. You need to be there because you can't focus on something else while someone's trying to, you know, hurt you almost.
So in my gym, I only train with, well, 90% I train with men only. Like, because the sport is so small in a women-based community. So I believe that if all women take on the sport as a weapon for self-defense, it will naturally grow into something that they really love. The community will be bigger for women. And this whole thing about, like, being uncomfortable to roll with men and, like, your hair and your nails and stuff, that will all fall away naturally if people just start taking interest in it more, because we don't have a big women community in the sport.
I think it can be intimidating for women.
No, it
for
can be
sure.
very intimidating, but now, like...
Which is why
back
there's
in-
ladies only classes and stuff
Yeah,
like
but
that.
now more than ever, there's gyms like Fight Fit Malaysia, Apex, there's East Rand Jiu Jitsu. There's a few gyms that are growing in South Africa where there's a lot of women attending, and it can just get bigger. And I think that the more women that brings that, attends for self-defense reasons, because that's where we try and get women involved in the sport, it will become a hobby and something that they really love. And then from that point, it might even become a sport that they compete in, because that's exactly what happened for me.
It's
That was the
incredible to watch the
process.
women compete. I mean, when we went to Cape Town in October, and it was, what is the comp, AJP?
Yeah, so there's different federations and stuff.
And I was to go support all of them and watch, and like watching the women compete is really amazing. And that's when I'm like, oh, I want to do this, you know, because I just see how they perform and how they take pride in what they do and how empowered they feel.
So with my comp in Cape Town, I had one of my competitions, had a few, went viral on Instagram.
Yeah, it was a submission.
Yeah, so I rear naked choked a girl, and I've never experienced in a comp to put someone to sleep. So it's not rear naked choked, sorry. See, I dashed someone. It's a front choke, basically, standing, and she like sort of fell on her face and slept for like 10 seconds. And it went like, thank you.
It's not
like,
a guillotine, sorry.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
guillotine.
See,
Blasted. See, I know.
that.
It was a standing guillotine.
Standing guillotine. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Nice.
You know, nice, Leisha. So I guillotined this girl standing.
Namaste.
And it, like, when it happened and she like fell on the ground, I went. So the whole reason it went viral is because my reaction was like, oh my God, what did I just do? And people who were like slamming me on Instagram, it's got like 200,000 views on all these international pages.
Because she fell to the ground and she was like, oh my God, what
Like,
just
who
happened?
did it? Like stuff like, and like that just showed, like, I hope that showed people who are really interested in the sport, like, it's not their, like, my intention, or women or anyone that does it, but your intention is not to hurt someone. It's just shows you what you're actually capable of if you put the work in and you disciplined in a sport.
You like displaying your skill that you've put all this time into. And it was, even for me, watching from from the grandstand, I was like, what just happened? She looked up at me and I was like, everything's okay. I promise, everything's okay. And she was so far. She looked like this. She just looked up and I just signaled. I was like, I promise you she's fine, because the girl like woke up, and what an amazing woman.
And then
she
I
was
wonder,
like, she was so chilled and just humble and saying thank you for it. I was like, I don't know if I would be saying thank you, but
then
she
it
was
makes
just
me
so
wonder how
cool.
the boys, like my husband fights and he knocks people out for a living, and I'm like, how do you not feel bad?
Yeah.
I'm sure they do in some
I
way.
mean, yeah, but it's like like we two men in there to do the same
Yeah, I
thing to
think
each
you
other.
kind of know the silver lining. It could happen to anyone, so you kind of just...
Yeah, everyone wins.
But I think that was
loses.
your first intense experience with a comp.
No, I've had a few, but I mean, like, first time where I've hurt someone and it was like Sorry.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to do that.
But
But
fortunately, it was cool.
Yeah, and
afterwards.
she showed amazing sportsmanship. Like, she was just an incredible,
Yeah,
me,
the
an incredible
other lady,
athlete. She even came to me, and I was like, "You are so cool." She was just the coolest chick.
Yes, it's an amazing like community. Like Jiu Jitsu in South Africa, I think it's an amazing community. It's only growing. And if more women can get involved, why not? You know? It's good. We need it, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I think someone like you that is like a spokesperson for it, and
Yeah.
someone that obviously advocates it not just for self-defense, but for, you know, mental stability, mental strength. Because I mean, I know when because I did a white collar fight last year, and the mental, it just builds that strength, and it builds, you know, foundation. And if you struggling with something, let's say in a corporate environment, like, oh, this is nothing. I've had someone try to kill me.
Yeah.
I've had someone that's trying to,
Exactly.
like, what is this actually?
Exactly.
Like, I've
Well, let's put it
gone
this way:
12
we can't
rounds.
wrestle anymore because we used to wrestle as kids, and now we can't wrestle.
No, because she'll lose every damn time. Yeah, no, definitely. It's 100%. Like, I find a lot of lessons in the sport, and it's a healthy drug that you chase daily, because Jiu-Jitsu is like a endless spider web. There's always something to learn. And you can learn it today, and in a year you're going to relearn because you forget it as well. So Rich always says to me, you need you need to cycle your sequences in threes. You can't have 10 million things that you're doing from a competing perspective. You can't have 10 million things that you're doing because your mind can't focus on so many things at one go. So you have to find like your style and your sequences and your systems that work for you as an individual. Like what I can do and what maybe one of my teammates can do, it's two different styles. And that's what makes it that interesting. It's like playing chess with an alien.
Yeah.
Because not even, like, everyone's completely different in the sport. It's really cool.
But like your female community team or whatever is also growing.
Yeah, so
quite a
we
bit.
on the 11th of Feb in so we've, like I said, like comps are becoming more and more bigger in South Africa. On the 11th of Feb, we're doing a quintet comp. So quintet is where you have teams competing against each other. So you'll have 5 people in a team, and the max weight limit will be, like, for us girls, it will be 320 kilos for the team combined, and the other team will be 320, and then you compete, and you don't know who's in first. So I can, on the 11th of Feb, I might be competing against like an 80 kilo chick, and I'm like 55 kilos. So that's what makes it so interesting, and it's that's like a form of comp on that day, but it's going to be a big event. It's called Submission Queens and Submission Kings, I think. Kings and Queens. And that's just one of the big events that are happening this year.
Yeah, and it's such a cool way, like, to observe them, like, coming together as a team of 5 ladies and just creating like a strong team where they can go in and like display their skill from their schools, and I get to watch all of that. So
That's also a good way to get someone that might not have previously wanted to compete, but now that, you know, she knows that there's 4 other ladies that are doing it with her, you're theoretically a team.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're still the only person
I
there
think all the
against your
ladies
opponent, but I mean,
But-
it's still nice knowing that you're
Yeah.
part of a team like that.
Exactly. So I might compete against all 5, and they won't compete at all. So if I beat one, she's out. The next one comes in. So it's like an elimination thing. And another interesting thing about it is, like as you know, like Jiu-Jitsu is like white belt, blue, purple, brown, black. So there's different variations of belts in the combat as well. So I might go up against a brown belt, and I'm a blue belt. So, but again, from a belting level perspective, like sometimes in certain situations, you might be better than a purple belt as a blue belt, because it really depends on who you coached under and what your grading methodology is within your gym. Some people get graded by attendance, some get graded by comp, displaying skill, transferring knowledge. Like, there's a few things that we as a gym, or Rich has, like, as a criteria for us. Like, you don't change belts in 1 year. Like, that's not the way it works in our gym. So, like, we've got really high-level blue belts and high-level purple belts that can compete against, like, brown belts that have been doing it for 5 or 6 years, longer than the individuals that have been doing it for shorter time period. But it really is about how much you invest in like I can invest more than you in 1 year, or what you invest in 2 years, I can invest in 1 year. It really depends on what our discipline is for the sport. So yeah.
So you've obviously gone and done several yoga classes as well.
Yeah,
Is that
so-
something you frequently or?
Yes. So
That's why I say we cross interest.
yeah. So I love the yoga. Like I absolutely love it.
It's also just
I
really
have a-
good for like anyone who does Jiu Jitsu or any sport. Like
Yeah,
whether you're
for
doing
any sport.
weightlifting
It's the
or
opposite.
Jiu Jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu is this, yoga's this. Like
Just have to be mobile.
yeah, so in jiu-jitsu, like sort of in wrestling and jiu-jitsu, you round a lot of your muscles and you,
Stay
like
compact,
everything's
yeah.
tight. So my feet and my hands and everything's always activated. So same in yoga, everything's always activated. That's why the sport works hand in hand. But if I do one yoga class with my sister, with Casey, that immediately I can feel the response into my jiu-jitsu immediately, because I do like a lot of, my style of jiu-jitsu can be a lot of like leg locks and stuff and inversions and stuff. So that helps me a lot. The jiu-jitsu helps me to be, my hips get affected quite a lot with the weight on you in like inverting positions in jiu-jitsu. So that's why I do the yoga a lot. And I find also it gives you that spiritual, it also has a spiritual link, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Finding
both
flow
have the
in
finding
a
flow
theme. Yeah.
theme, yeah.
In a different way. I always say to her that I just want her to stay mobile, because I do see, and maybe it's my justification, but often I'm like, oh, I don't really want to do jiu-jitsu because I really don't want to become, not mobile or be injured in any way. It obviously depends on how you do it and what level you do it to.
Just
but
keep your ego out and you'll be fine.
I'm sure. But, naturally, when you start and you don't have any skill, what do you fight with? Your ego. So I just think that it's not even about doing yoga, but just practicing mobility in conjunction with the sports. I know there are 1 or 2 guys that I'm aware of that really invest in mobility, and you can see that in the sport that they do. So that's really the only thing from a yoga perspective that I think can really, really support it.
Yeah, mobility and flow.
Mobility and flow.
So you
Sure.
say that you also be hesitant to do jiu-jitsu because you don't want to get injured. That's kind of-
Really, because I teach yoga for a
Yeah,
living, and it's not that, I mean, in all the years, what's it been, 4 or 5 years of you on the mats, she's never truly
6.
been injured. I mean, she's phoned me telling me she's ripped her pinky toe off and I need to come fetch her and take her to the hospital.
That really
But she hooked it in someone's pants or whatever. But when I arrived, she was sitting there, foot up, chilling, and I said, how are you not
I've
crying?
So what
experienced
happened
this.
with the pinky? Exactly?
So my friend Rourke, so in our gym they've got this. So I'm one of the only girls, and I train with the pro team, which is the MMA pro team as well. So I do the jiu-jitsu classes with them. So it's a tough environment. So that environment might not be for any woman. That's why I'm saying general jiu-jitsu classes for women's self-defense is 100% where they need to be. But I'm stepped it up a little bit more from a competitive perspective. So the guys are like, we go, there's I don't believe that's a lot of holding back from them. So there's this thing they call it the mouse trap. So every day they try and mouse trap me. So it's like this DAS or guillotine where
It's a standing guillotine.
it's not, Alicia, it's not, you're not there. So they try and guillotine, DAS, whatever, kill me all at the same time. And we're always grappling, whatever. So I enter the legs a lot. So I like starting on the floor with leg locks, like leg sequences and so forth. And it's something not a lot of people like to do because you can tear all your ligaments in your knee and your feet. So ankles, so it's a problem. So anyway, I went lassoed the leg and I tried to go over to an X, which I know you don't know what that is, but you go X and I put my pinky toe into his pants. And I tried to kick him. So you kick him over, but I ripped it out and my entire toe bent to the side and hung. And I had to get 7 stitches to
Yes. So was
hold
it
it back
the leg?
up.
Did you tear the ligament or?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't really know. It's still a little bit sensitive, but it's fine. It can
Because
work.
I've
She
actually
probably
got
went
something
back
similar. So
sooner.
you can see
Yeah.
I can't straighten my pinky here.
So I really don't want to show you my negative stuff about jiu-jitsu, but I'm going to show you something. But see, I'm trying to get women into the sport, but this is purely this is because I compete. Okay. So look at my pinkies. They don't like connect.
So what, was there an injury or was it just over time?
No, over time. So because so there's two forms of jiu-jitsu. There's no-gi jiu-jitsu, which is basically like MMA fighting, but no grappling without the kimono, which is the gi. Okay, so I love the gi because the gripping systems and the gripping methodologies and stuff for me as a woman, when I'm in a bad situation and it's normally when you're closed out, you can utilize clothing to like loop choke people, manipulate, pull, push, like that's what I do. So when you grip the gi, you sort of like, Rich says, he needs to figure out what I'm doing. I'm doing something to cause this, but So you grip the gi and my finger goes into that little like, what do you call it?
Yeah.
And that like over 6 years of doing it, my like fingers have.
But it's definitely not stopped her, let me tell you.
No,
I wake up 3 years later and I'm like, okay, I'm cool. I'm just going to do no-gi.
Okay, yeah, but I'm married. I'm not looking for a man. I mean,
but I mean, that's
I don't think it's about that.
Be like, sorry, do you still like me?
So I assume you can't get your nails done.
I always do my nails, but only like gelish. So no long nails.
Yeah.
So what I did in December, I got like 2 piercings on and I've always wanted piercings. Like I don't even go, I really want tattoos, but it gives me anxiety to think I can't do just for 2 weeks. So I do like in December when the gym closes, I'll like.
She told me for 4 months. She's like, you know all those piercings you have? I'm getting them in December. And then I'm like, I was like, I have to be honest with you. It's like a 12 to 16 week process. Sometimes it takes up to a year to heal. So she's like, no. Within 2 weeks, it'll be fine. Well, first day back on the mat, she had plasters all over her ears.
Yeah, so like 2 years and a month now that I took a month break in December. We went away. Actually, I was a little bit sick as well in December. So I need something to like keep me off the mats. So I got the piercings and now like it's a problem. I'm probably going to have to take them out. But like, yeah.
So how many mat sessions or how many sessions have you done where it's been a problem? Is it every session?
It's actually, I've been fine all the way until yesterday. I did a session with my team, all the boys at the gym, and there's nothing like the blue mats. I train with a lot of, like I'll go to Apex and I'll go everywhere, like training's training, but there's something about training under Rich with his team, just the energy and the level. Like when he's on the mat, like when he's away, the mouse can play. Like when he's there, people know, like you bring your best. Like you have to roll. You're not sitting out rounds. You're not like messing around. So also the biggest mistake I made, I went and placed the earrings on this ear, and it's sort of the side where I double leg and I wrestle. So
you mean on your collie ear?
Yeah, no, this side's actually my collie ear now. This side's becoming one. I've got a little collie ear. It's sad, but it is what it is. My husband has 2 big ones, so we good.
Matchy.
We matchy, yeah.
I was watching a podcast with a guy and he said he won't get his cauliflower ears fixed or like the cartilage removed or anything because the MMA community will like slate him and say like,
oh, really?
But I don't know how true that is. I don't know.
I actually know people who fix their collies. Sometimes
but it's personal preference if you
yeah,
want to do
so
it.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Like I feel like his collies are beautiful. And he looked after them nicely. They
but also people know, okay, this guy's a serious oak. I'm not
yes.
cause with him. Maybe he's a rugby player, but it's far less sold often than a rugby player gets.
Like when we were away now in December in Durban, like a lot of people would be like, yeah, no, like we look at the ears and we know like you're a fighter. Not me, my husband. We know you're a fighter. Or we know that you like do some physical contact sport, but then we look at your hands and we know you're a fighter.
Yeah, look at his knuckles.
Yes, his hands are like massive. Yeah. So I do have a baby over here, but we hope that that's the most of it.
So what do you do to almost prevent it? Nothing.
You have to.
Drain it.
Obviously, and that's the other thing. Like you get a collie and your whole ear swells up full of its blood. So then
you are really selling the sport nicely to
women,
eh?
So anyone who wants to try it as a sport, this is what happens.
Oh, you're talking on a competitive level.
Yes, competitive level. So there's, like I said, there's 2 sides to it. So you drain it with a syringe. You drain the blood out so it doesn't calcify.
Okay.
But it calcifies, and you go back and it swells again and it calcifies. So mine's not too big, but obviously, I mean, in the next 4 years, I'm definitely going to have 2 beautiful
You're going to be
years.
sporting a collie, and then we're going to know who's who.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the deciding factor now.
Yes, but long hair.
Yeah.
So when's your next comp?
So that's the 11th of March is that quintet comp, which I'm super excited about because I think it might be, I think I'm 100% sure it's the first time that there's a quintet women event in South Africa. There's been for men before, but this will be the first women event.
Yeah. And your team, I mean, you've got some really amazing.
Yeah, so I've got Shana Power, who's an EFC athlete, Sasha Robinson, Kiara, and Hannah Griffiths. So Hannah is amazing. She is also a girl that I train with every day. She's actually a white belt and she's quite young. But my goodness, is this kid good?
What's the strategy going into a comp like that? Because you say, like, if the person that goes first beats all other 5 people, do you put your best first? What's the strategy?
I can't tell you what the strat is
Okay.
because we're not allowed to know their strats, and they're not allowed to, like, if we know, we can like manipulate it. So I mean, I can't tell you, to be honest.
Okay.
I'd love to, but I can't.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, well, you'll see.
We'll see.
You
We'll
will
see when
see.
you guys win.
Yeah, definitely. We chose our name today. We're going to be the Urbanite Queens.
Oh, nice.
Because the other team's the Coastal Queens.
Okay.
So we like city
Cool.
versus coastal,
Yeah.
because all the ladies from the other team is from Cape Town.
Okay.
I think there's one Durban girl in there, but yeah, also a really good team. Have 2 really good EFC athletes in their team as well. Bumi, she's she's the captain of their team, and I'm the captain of our team. She's like a strong, big girl. Like I'm scared. Just a little. And then Kaylee's also good athletes in their team. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. And it's just for me, it really doesn't matter who wins. It's about showing women that you can do this. Like, it doesn't have to be this like a manly thing. Like, we can do anything. We can do anything.
Yeah.
Like, just one of my favorite sayings is we think, it's a Buddha saying that says, the biggest mistake we make is, we as humans make, is we think that we have time. But time is free, but it's also priceless. So why don't we just go for it? Why don't you just give it a go? You know, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
So that's like my motto now. Like, I'll do whatever comes my way. And if that is a little comp in South Africa, or the goal to go to Worlds one day, like, that's what I'm going to do.
Cool. And how often is a World? Is it like once a year? Is it that popular that it can be once a year?
So, what do you mean, Worlds?
Yeah.
Worlds is every year in different federations. So there's Abu Dhabi Worlds, there's ADCCs.
What federation?
So I'd like to go, like, the first one I'd like to go to is the AJP one, because there's comps here, and then there's the Worlds in Abu Dhabi.
So you need to qualify
I hope
here.
I have this right.
Then-
So certain belts, so higher belts can qualify with points and then get a ticket to go for free. But like my level, I still get my points, but then I still have to like pay for my ticket and pay for the whole process.
Does the federation pay for those belts to go, or who would
It's
pay?
a free ticket, yeah. So
The
you get it.
federation would pay.
Yes,
for the tickets.
yeah. From what I understand.
Okay.
So
'Cause I was going to say the government's not going to. It's not going to be like
No,
SA
no.
colours in the government pays.
The sport's
If
not
only.
that big, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's major world events in America, and consistently there's comps every single weekend. Like the opportunity for growth in terms of comp experience in America is insane. We have one of Richie's athletes, one of my training partners, Luke Griffiths. He just went to America, and he's been training with Rich for a very long
Did he
time.
immigrate there?
No, he just went for a little while. So I don't know if you know Gordon Ryan. He's he's one of the best and most well-known Jiu Jitsu athletes in the world. And then John Danaher, which is one of the most well-known and coaches in the world. He went for some training on that side, and they've literally taken him in as a teammate, training with them in Austin, Texas, I think. And that's just, for us as in a jiu-jitsu community, it shows how educated and how well versed our jiu-jitsu is, or
Yeah, and the level of your
especially our
coaching.
coach. Like our level of coaching is world class. Like it's not necessary to go to other countries for coaching. What it is necessary for is for opportunities, because it's not here. So in that, I mean, it's the same in MMA and in most sports. I mean, boxing, if you're talking physical contact sport, boxing is probably the only one that where major opportunities rise for individuals here, men and women.
Yeah.
So you have to travel a bit to get where you need to be.
And you know, where are you mainly teaching from?
I'm still, as per our last chat, I'm still just like working with my privates. We are actually starting up a couple of events this year. I'm starting a new event with a friend of mine. It's actually for the Leonardo. I don't know if you know the Alto 234. That tallest building in I think it's the tallest building in Africa. It's the tallest building in Sandton that I know. We're starting events there monthly now from the end of Jan, which is going to be quite an experience. Just go up there, and it's going to be like a breakfast, and I'm going to be teaching those classes in conjunction with the partner. So I'm looking forward to that. And then really just focusing on my own training, my privates that I've carried through from last year. Started with 1 or 2 corporates. So really just pushing on with that. Also just moving into into the fitness space as well. So I work with a brand also in America that I might be traveling for a bit this year.
I'm so sad she might leave me for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Martin's phone
Yo,
bill's going
his
to be
phone bill's going to be worse. Internet roaming fees now.
She won't phone you. Actually,
I
you
will phone you.
You just do WhatsApp calls, it's better.
You're going to miss us.
Just make sure you got data.
Yeah, well, I promise you 7 out of the 8 phone calls. He's like, I can't talk right now. Phone me later. And then she's like, okay, bye. And puts the phone down. So I might be doing a little bit of that later. Well, actually, in the first quarter of the
You
year.
are doing that.
That's if, obviously, with COVID and stuff, like traveling is very unpredictable. So I'm looking forward to that. And then otherwise, just still teaching and like trying to branch into different ways of training, because I just love it so much. It's like what drives me every day, focusing on strength training and getting involved with different coaches and different places. And through that, like building more community and meeting more people. And yeah, it's cool.
Awesome. Well, guys,
Really
it's been an
enjoy it.
absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
And yeah, good luck with going overseas, which you are going to do. Travel's going to be fine this year. And good luck for 11th of March.
Thank you. Feb.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thanks, JC. We appreciate it.
Have you ever met Miss Lindy? She's a gal with the bright red hair.